Everybody. Yes, it is a new day. I already see some folks getting on with us, but I'm going to ask you to do me that favor. Like and share. Because ready or not, we coming this morning. I'm excited about what we're talking about, and I'm ready to get this party started. So good morning, Linda. Good morning, Christina. Good morning, guys. It has been a whole entire week since I have tuned in, and I'm excited because guess what? When your body need rest, you better take it. So I have been on vacation. I had a good time, me and my husband, much needed vacation. So I'm excited to see you guys this morning as I lie in bed this morning, getting myself up and just thanking God for waking me up to see another day. I'm like, Lord, what we talking about this morning? And he was like, ready or not, we about to go. And I'm like, ready or not, where we going? So I'm excited this morning. I hope you guys are excited. Good morning, Pamela. Good morning. Good morning. Do me a favor, go ahead, like and share. At first, I was having some technical issues, but we are all good over here in the hood. On one end, it looked like it wasn't happening, but we're ready. Good morning, Dr. O. Good morning, good morning, good morning. As you guys come on, go ahead, do us a favor, like and share. I hope that you guys are ready, because my topic is ready or not. This week so far on the God Zone, I've heard some folks talking about we got to get ready to fight. We got to put on our armor. We got to be ready to rock and roll and go. We got to get ready for what he's about to do in our lives. So I know I'm ready. I hope y'all ready. So I know you're probably saying ready or not, Trina, which way are we going with that? Or, some of you might say, well, Dr. K, what you doing this morning? It's not what I'm doing. It's always what he's doing because I asked him to empty me out and use his vessel this morning. Hey, Pastor Butler. So this morning, God had me go to the book of Jonah, a very familiar text. We are very familiar with the story, especially those of us who are raised in the church, because all we remember is Jonah and the whale. That's what we think about. So just a little background. God called Jonah, who was a prophet, a preacher. He called him from his people to go to Nineveh. Now, his people were Israelites. So he called them to go to the Ninevites so that he can preach to them, so he can talk to them, because that he needed them to leave those wicked and evil ways. But Jonah hated this idea because Nineveh was one of Israel's greatest enemies, and he didn't want anything to do with them. Nothing. Now, before I got deep into the word, I was like, Lord, you already preaching this morning already, because how many of us has God given a sign, a dream, a vision, and told us to do something to help somebody or to talk to somebody who we quote unquote didn't like, somebody we saw as our enemy? And God is like, it's bigger than that. You got to move past this finite thinking. When I ask you to do something, the expectation is we're going to do it. But Jonah, just like many of us, he was disobedient. When God told him to go right, Jonah tried to go left. He tried to go a whole nother way. Good morning, Gifty, and happy birthday. He tried to go in the opposite direction. He wanted to go to Tarshish. He wanted to go where he wanted to go. He wanted to stay in his comfort zone, because you got to understand this. And I'll put it in this perspective. When we were in high school, we had our high school rivalry. So I went to Miami Killian Senior High. Good morning, BC Wright. Good morning. Good morning. And our rival was Miami Southridge. So it was the equivalent of me being a Killian Cougar, and I'm going and standing in front of Southridge High School, and I'm talking to them about what's going on, and I'm in all my Killian gear. Like, understand, it was that kind of situation. So Jonah was like, no, I don't want to go and try to help them. I don't want to try to save them. Okay, God, I hear what you're saying, but you know what? Since you told me to go this way, I'm going to get on a boat. I'm going to get on water. I ain't going to get on land, and I'm going to go in a whole different way. And I know I am not the only person in my mind saying, dang, how many times has he told me to go right and I went left? And when I went left, I had all these issues, all these problems. And I'm like, dang, why is it so hard over here? And God's just sitting back like this, like, okay, I'm going to just wait on you. Since that's what you want to do, you go your way. And when you get ready to come back and be obedient, then I'm going to be right here with open arms waiting on you. So I don't know, again, if it's somebody else, but just think about it. Have you gone the other way when you knew He said go right, you went left. Sometimes I even struggle with it. I get ready to go walk and I'm like, okay, God, which way we going? I'm that. I relinquish it all to him. I'm like, I don't want to go left if you telling me to go right. Which way we going? So you got to think about it and ask him for direction in everything that you're doing. Some of us are getting ready to start new things, start new businesses, start new relationships. We're getting ready to move, transition, and God is sitting back waiting, saying, when you gonna ask me? Because nobody ain't ever asked me anything. When you made this grand plan, you never consulted or considered me. So we got to make sure that, and that's a whole deviation, but we got to make sure before we start making moves, we ask God, which way would you have me to go? Am I supposed to be doing this thing? Good morning, Tiffany. So Jonah got on the boat. I'm going to Tarshish. I ain't going to no Nineveh, not doing that. He on the boat and a great storm came. Now, y'all know God sent the storm. Now, the men on the boat, they trying to figure out what's going on. Like, who on this boat that's causing all these issues? Who has disrupted something? Well, anyway, Jonah ended up being tossed over the boat, but God sent a big fish. Now, we know the story to say a whale to swallow Jonah and save him from drowning. So I want you to think about that. I know me and my whole baby mind. I'm like, first of all, y'all done threw me over the boat. The waves, the winds are tossing and turning. I'm already panicking, but then I'm gonna get swallowed by a fish. Imagine how Jonah was feeling. So for 3 days and 3 nights, he was in the belly of the fish. What was he doing? The same thing that we would have been doing. He was in there praying, repenting, and praising God. Like, I can see me having a whole praise party. Like, Lord, I know nobody ain't do this but you. I see, that's right, Pastor Butler. In all things, we must acknowledge him. And you know what, Bernadette, you're right. That is a whole word. Who on the boat? Because they was ready to throw him over the boat quick. That part right there. He in this belly of the fish. He praying, he repenting, and all of this, because that's what we do when we deviate, when we go away from the path that he's asked us to walk on. And he said he's going to order our steps, and we ask him to order our steps, but when it's not ordered the way we want them to, come on now, then we try to fix it for him. But he says, okay, you know what? You repenting, you praising, you ready now? You ready to get going? Okay, come on now, here we go. So he says, okay, we're good. All right, God, I'm going to go to Nineveh. I'm good. I'm going to go. I'm going to do what you want me to do. Jonah went and he preached to them for 40 days. And guess what? Because he was like, oh, they're not going to believe me. It ain't this. Because don't we do that when we have conversations with God? We try to tell him about how his plan is flawed because it's not in our comfort zone, because he's bringing us out of our comfort zone. But guess what? The Ninevites believed him. They believed what he said, and they turned from their wicked ways. Now that right there should have been shouting, praising. Everybody should have been happy, especially Jonah, because guess what? He did what God said. He was saving people. That should have made him happy. But guess what? It didn't make him happy. He was upset about that, because guess what? God extended grace to the Ninevites. And Jonah says, you know what? They are still Israel's enemies. I don't care about them believing in you. I don't care about them turning from their wicked ways. Why didn't you kill them? Why didn't you hurt them? Why didn't you harm them? And God is like, you know what? I thought you got it when you were in the belly of the whale, because you prayed, you repented, and you were praising me. And I thought you were going to be totally obedient. I thought you were going to be fully submissive, but not so much yet. So God sent him, just like he'll do us, sometime on a little timeout. Anybody ever been in timeout? I know I have. So God sent him, you know what? Take this little timeout, go over here and take some rest so you could calm your nerves. And God provided a vine to give him some shade. And he was like, great, you know what? This worked out. I got this shade. I'm sitting over here. I'm chilling. Everything is good. So then he's like, okay, it's working out. But the next day, God sent a worm to eat the vine, because guess what happened all over again? Jonah got comfortable. You know, I'm back in my comfort zone. I'm good over here. I'm gonna just chill and I'm gonna see what happened. So God sent the worm to eat up the vine, which in my mind, I'm like, okay, here we go with the test. You know, he puts us in a position, and then we have to sometimes he has to chastise us and reel us back, and then he gives to us again, because that wasn't nothing but grace and mercy again being extended. But Jonah got in his whole baby feelings again. He was so upset about the worm eating the vine, and God is like, are you more concerned about 120,000 lives being saved than you are about a plant? About a plant that you didn't dig it up, you ain't plant the seed, you ain't do anything. You just benefited from the shade, but he was in his whole feelings about it. And God said, you know what? That's not how this is going to work. It's not about your way. It's about my way. And as I was looking at my word, I was like, you know what? Jonah was trying to be exclusive, but God wanted to be inclusive. And so many of us try to be, okay, I'm going to keep this for myself. I'm not going to share it to anybody. And that's not of God. That's not what he is saying for us to do. God wanted Jonah. Well, Jonah wanted God, but you know what? God wanted Jonah for the whole world. Jonah wanted God for Jonah. He wanted God for himself, so that he can say, it's for my people. This is my God. But God is like, that's not who I am. It's not going to just be where you are going to benefit and nobody else. It doesn't matter if you see them as your enemy or whatever. These are my people, is what God is saying. So in our world, we got to make sure that, you know what, we get out of our comfort zone, because if you get yourself sitting in that comfort zone, a comfort zone you ain't even create, first, let's start there. Guess what? God might send a worm to erode everything, starting from the root. So where you gotten comfortable and you sitting up under that tree or that vine or whatever it is, you know, and that thing you start saying, well, what's going on? Everything is falling apart around me. I don't get it. And God is saying, it ain't falling apart around you. That's me, because my hand was always in it. I was the one who was always doing it. It was never about you. But I thought that you would be able to take my grace and my mercy, and you would be able to help my people. It wasn't just for one set of people. So as I was thinking about this morning, I'm like, Lord, there are so many nuggets that I was able to pull out, but I'm going to give you 5 key points about the story of Jonah, and I paraphrased it. So I definitely recommend that you go back and you read Jonah in its entirety, because it's not a difficult read at all. I enjoy the NIV version, but those 5 points that I got: number 1, God is he will move you up out of your comfort zone. So it's not going to be when you are ready to do it. It's going to be when he wants you to do it. Because guess what? Jonah was living his best life. He was doing his thing. You know, he was having a good time. But it's like, okay, now you move me to go over here, and I'm talking to my enemies. You know, for most of us, it's like, okay, God, let me get my mind right. When I get my mind right, then I can go over there and deal with them, because that's how we do with people. I don't want to deal with them now. When I'm ready, then I'll go. And God is like, no, the person that I need you to go and prophesy to, the person that I need you to testify to, the person that I need you to go help might be the person who hurt you. But I need you to go when I need you to go. God is saying, he ain't saying go when you get ready 5 years from now. He's saying go right now, while the hurt is still fresh, while the wound is still open. And you're like, what? You want me to do that? God like, yeah, you gonna do it. And you're gonna do it now. Because if you don't, guess what? Now I'm going to send the worm, and it's going to start eating away from your tree at the root. And you'll be like, well, what's going on, God? And all of it stems back to something you like, a simple act of obedience. That's all I had to do, was be obedient. That part. Number 2, what I realize is we can't run from God. I don't care if you go on a boat, if you go on a highway, if you go on a byway, if you go on a bicycle, a tricycle. It don't matter. If you take a bus, a plane, a train, you cannot run from God. He is going to come. He is going to meet you where you are. As a matter of fact, wherever you think you're going, however you're going to get there, he already there. He done been there, and he already know what the end look like. So if you want to try to waste your time by being disobedient, God is like, you know what? I'll wait on it. I got you, boo. I'm over here. I'll wait for you to get here. So 1, God is going to move you out of your comfort zone. It's not when you're ready. It's when he's ready. Hence, ready and or not. Number 2, you can't run from him. Our God is omnipresent. He's omniscient. He's all knowing. Come on now. He is everywhere. So you can't run. Number 3, disobedient will create turmoil in your life. So, you know, some of us are like, dog, I don't understand why am I having these issues? What's going on? And it's like God is sitting there saying, because you were disobedient, I told you to move to the left, or I told you to move to the right, and I told you to take one step, you took 4 steps and you went over here. That's not what I called or told you to do. We have to be obedient, and in our obedience, it's not going to be comfortable. Not always. Sometimes it is, but a lot of times it's discomforting, because we may have to go speak in front of people that we don't know, which gives us anxiety. We might have to go bless somebody that hasn't been a blessing to us. And he was like, it ain't about you. It's something bigger. And that's my 5th point. So I'll get there in a second. But number 4 is, when we repent, obedience must follow. So remember I said Jonah was in the belly of the fish, and he was praying, and he was repenting, and he was praising. You know what? When we repent and say, Lord, you know what? I'm sorry. I know I was wrong. We can't then say, well, okay, give me a minute. Let me get my mind right before I can be obedient. No, we got to acknowledge our sin. Number 2, we have to accept his discipline, because for every action, there is a reaction. For every situation, there's going to be a consequence. Big, small, or whatever the case is going to be, there's going to be something. There always is going to be discipline. We knew that from children. They always told us, okay, whatever is done in the dark is going to come to the light, and you're going to have to suffer the consequences for it, no matter what it is. And we don't get to dictate the consequence. So we acknowledge our sin, we accept God's discipline, we repent, and then we act, move, do, go where God tells us to go the first time. The first time. Not, are you sure that's what you want? Are you sure that's what you're saying? The first time, move, go, do. And lastly, number 5, we got to see the big picture and have compassion. You know, we see things from our finite eyes, but that's why we got to ask God on Wisdom Wednesday to give us wisdom, his wisdom, not our own, so that we can look at it from his perspective, because we see it right here, but we don't see everything. We don't see all of the moving parts. But the picture is so much bigger. When we surrender to him, he makes it look different. That's right, Pastor Butler. Obedience is quick, clear, and decisive obedience. Not I gotta think about it. Not, Lord, give me a second to get my mind right. Our mind have to be right all the time. We have to be able to move, to walk. When he says go, we got to go. It doesn't matter who. When he says bless that person, bless them. When he says have that conversation, have it. Make that phone call, have it. Clear the air and keep it moving. God says, ready or not, I'm going to use you. It's not about when you feel like it's going to happen. It's in his time. So I hope, family, on this morning that you were able to glean something from something that I said, because before we got on, I asked God to use me in whatever way he sees fit. And this right here, it even blessed me, because I was reading this one. I'm like, oh, Lord, I'm like, you got to come and step on my whole toes this morning, like standing on top of my desk here. But you know what? It's all good, because I only want to be obedient. I want to do his will, even when I'm not comfortable. Even when I feel like, oh my goodness, I have a little anxiety, because guess what? I know who to go to. I know where to find peace. I know where to find comfort. I know who is going to carry me through the whole situation. The same person, the same God that's going to carry you. He got us in his hands. We don't have to worry about it. We don't have to figure it out. We don't have to send a lifeline for anybody else. He is the lifeline. He is the ultimate lifeline. So ready or not, just like Jonah, he's coming. He is going to ask you to do something that's going to be uncomfortable. It's time for us to be able to move. It's time for us to be able to move quickly, decisively, when he says go. Immediately. That's right, Rutho. So family, I love you this morning. I pray that you guys have a fantastic day. And remember, today is Wednesday, so I want to make sure that you join us for with BC Wright. Guess who's back? It is Attorney Murray is back. Guys, we are talking about redlining 101. So class is going to be in session. You can see it on Facebook and or on her YouTube channel. I'm going to post it again. So make sure at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And you know what? We got to stay woke, because my girl is going to bring it on this morning, her and her special guest. And many of you like the Be Blessed segment, so you will be able to participate in the Be Blessed segment on this morning. So I look forward to seeing you guys at 9 a.m. God bless you guys and have a great day. I'll see you on Freedom Friday. Bye-bye.